Hey, Hamilton. I hear Skepticality has a new episode out. Yeah, let's go listen to it. Skepticality. Science. Hello, everyone. This is Susan Gerbic from the GSoW Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia project. And today I have Greg Neilson with us. Hi, Greg.
Hi, Susan. After all this time, great to talk to you.
let's see if the listeners can pick up what part of the world they think you're in.
G'day. I'm talking to you from beautiful, sunny Sydney, Australia.
Greg, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a gentleman of leisure, as they call me. I used to work in the computer software field for my whole career. Left there a few years ago. They told me to take the money and go, so I took the money and went. I've been knocking around doing a few things since for interest more than for a paycheck. What can I say? Interested in astronomy, interested in science fiction, martial arts, critical thinking, home renovations, all sorts of stuff.
So you listen to several different podcasts, is that right?
I did. When I left work, I started listening to a few podcasts, and in particular, there's one in Australia called the Skeptic Zone that I really got into. And they're talking to this American woman called Susan Gerbic every now and again, interviewing her about what she was doing with Wikipedia. And I always thought that sounded interesting, but maybe something to look at later. Interesting for someone else to do. And then one day, or one night actually, I tell you, and I had one of those moments. One of those moments where I found something on Wikipedia that was wrong and needed to be fixed, and I just could not go to bed until I figured out how to fix it that night, then and there. Yeah, it was just one of those moments where you say, that's it, I'm not going to take it anymore.
And so then you remembered the Susan Gerbic person who...
Absolutely. Yeah, I did. I thought, well, now that I've done that much, I might as well jump all the way in the water and learn how to do it properly.
Now you have a theme that you tend to edit with.
Well, my theme, ever since I was at high school, I've had an interest in astronomy. I've sort of made it a bit of a personal mission to clean up the Australian astronomy articles on Wikipedia. Not exclusively, but that's enough work to keep me busy for a while.
Oh, and I've really enjoyed it too. As I say, I and other people read these pages that you're creating over and over sometimes, and it's so fascinating to learn about the Australians you've written about. Tell us about a few of these people that you've worked on.
Well, the one I'm finishing up just at the moment is a man called Warrick Couch, who I'm astounded that I had not heard of this man before. When you look at what he's done, he's the director of the largest observatory we have here, the Australian Astronomical Observatory, and he has won pretty much every prize there is to win worldwide short of a Nobel Prize. And even there, he was a contributor major contributor in the teams that would have won 2 Nobel Prizes. He just wasn't the actual team leader, so he didn't get the prize. And yet, he's just never been one of these people who really puts himself forward in a publicity sense, so you just don't hear his name. So it's been brilliant to put that together at the other end of the scale. I think I started off with the Astronomical Society of New South Wales.
I mean, look at you. You're the person who a year ago, this March, was just, I mean, you started March 22nd, 2014. You wrote me that email. And, you went to fix one little thing. And look at you. You've taken on enormous amount. This is one of the reasons why I want to really talk to you, because there's so much you have done. And not only have you written and rewritten so many pages of focused on astronomy and also on Australia, but you are also helping out Wikipedia editors. There's an area of Wikipedia, not the GSoW area, that you're answering questions, right?
Yeah, there's a really nice area there called the Tea House, which they describe as a friendly place where editors can ask questions. It does get a bit intimidating sometimes. You write, you make a change and then someone reverts it saying, no, that's contrary to rule X17 or something. This probably doesn't mean anything to people who haven't edited it, but some people get very officious on Wikipedia, and it can be a bit of a thankless job. Having a nice, safe place to go and ask your dumb questions is something I found incredibly helpful in the early days. And now I'm actually get a real buzz out of being able to give something back there that I can go back to find people asking the same sort of questions that I asked.
We're doing all kinds of things, not just skepticism stuff.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started, that was something that I had in the back of my mind as a concern, is are we the good guys or the bad guys here? But it didn't take me long to realise that we were actually looking at producing factual, well-documented, verifiable, interesting articles, which is not always the case for some things.
You're 100% right. Oh, I wanted to ask you about you went to the Australian Skeptic Conference?
I did, in November, yeah.
Now, is that the first Skeptic Conference you've been to?
Yes, yeah, never been to anything like that before, and I probably wouldn't have if it hadn't been for some encouragement on the forum. But it was certainly worth going to. I couldn't believe it. There was even one of the speakers there that I went to school with in high school.
No way. Who was that?
Peter Fitzsimons, who's the history specialist.
I love that. Now, when you were doing training, but I'll give you a choice of maybe 5 different pages, and they're all pages that I pick that I feel are going to be something that you might be interested in. One of them was for Maynard from the Skeptic Zone, and you went right to that page. You said, that's the one I'm going to do. That's it. Dibs, dibs, dibs. That's mine. I'm taking it. Nobody else touched that one. I'm taking that one.
Absolutely.
So tell me about that. His page was how many references when you got a hold of it? Like 2 or something?
Well, it was a bit of a complex situation because he had a page which had been deleted because as it had been put together initially, it was not very well done. They didn't have references to support everything that was said, so the page had actually been deleted. So I was pretty much starting from scratch. Because Maynard, for those who don't know, through my childhood, he was the voice of morning radio for anyone under the age of about 25. He was such a blast from the past. When I heard that voice again, it took me way back 30 years ago. And it was quite a freaky experience. How just the sound of that voice was so instantly recognisable. It was really quite rewarding to be able to work on a page of someone I knew. Well, I knew vicariously because I'd spent so many years listening to him. He'd never met me, wouldn't know me from a bar of soap, but I knew him. And so it was very rewarding to be able to work on his page. One of the nice things about the training is that you get to work on some areas you wouldn't normally look at. And one that I did as my first big rewrite was a man called Victor Stenger, who was a good match for me. He was a physicist. That's what I did at university, and nuclear physicist. Ended up going on to become quite a skeptical spokesman. And unfortunately, tragically, he passed away just a few months after I got that page finished, which is very sad, but at the same time, it was quite touching to think that when his death announcement came out, how many people went to look at his Wikipedia page and found something, hopefully, that did justice to the man there rather than the very scrappy bit of stuff that was there before.
Now, so tell me what you're planning on doing next.
I've got one more astronomical biography to do, which is somebody I met at the Skeptics Conference, Amanda Bauer, who was one of the speakers there. But I want to keep doing some other things too as well, and not quite sure what it's going to be, but one that did catch my eye is ear candling. Could be fun to do. Yeah, I know. I've chosen an easy one.
Oh, my goodness. So thank you for hanging out with me for a little bit, and I hope the listeners find this very interesting.
Thank you, Susan. It's been lovely to finally talk to you after all this time working together.
Thanks, Greg. I hope you're enjoying these interviews as much as I am. So a couple days after recording this interview with Greg, I woke up, looked at my phone, and saw a message from the Brisbane Skeptic President, Ross Bloch. There was an invitation to speak at the Australian Skeptics National Convention in Brisbane, Australia, October 16th through the 18th. Total shock, I kid you not. I thought I was still asleep. I had been editing the interview with Greg until probably 1 a.m. the night before, and I thought I was dreaming. I really had to pinch myself. I had no idea I was even being considered. So I guess it's official. I've seen it on their website, and now I can announce, please join me in Brisbane, Australia this October. And if you're interested in joining the GSoW project, as usual, please write to us at gsowteam@gmail.com.